There's a stretch of summer, you probably know the one, where the heat settles in and everything slows down. The air gets heavy, the afternoons stretch long, and the world goes a little quiet. The Romans called it the dog days, those still sweltering weeks when even ambition seems to take a breath. And honestly, I think it's the best reading weather of the year. I'm talking about the kind of books you sink into, rich with history, full of women who carry impossible things with quiet grace, a story that earns the long afternoon you're about to give it. Today, I have 5 historical fiction books for your summer reading list that are exactly that kind of read. Let's get into them. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tanya E. Williams, and I've spent the last decade writing historical fiction, and I'm excited to be your guide to the best stories history has to offer. And if you're back again, thanks for being here. What makes a great summer historical fiction read? I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think it comes down to immersion. The best summer books don't just tell you a story, they put you somewhere else entirely. You can almost feel the heat of the setting, the weight of the history, and the texture of a world that's gone but somehow is still familiar. Every book on today's list does exactly that. And as you'll hear, a few of them share something else in common too, but I'll get to that in a moment. The first book on your summer reading list is Before Dorothy by Hazel Gaynor. If you know Hazel Gaynor's work, you already know she has a gift for finding the hidden women behind beloved stories. And this one is no exception. Before Dorothy takes us to Chicago in 1924, where Emily is leaving behind the city she loves and her beloved sister Annie for the promise of a new life on the Kansas prairie with her husband Henry. Fast forward to 1932, and Emily and Henry have built something real among the farming community there. But nothing about their life is simple. Drought and devastating dust storms are bearing down, and then their orphaned niece Dorothy arrives on the doorstep, a wide-eyed little girl who turns Emily's world upside down. This is a story about home, about what we sacrifice to build it, what we'll do to protect it, and what happens when the past we thought we'd left behind catches up with us. It's bursting with heart, and for those of us who grew up loving a certain story set in Kansas, there's a quiet, wonderful thread running through it that makes it feel like a gift. The second book is This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger, and if you haven't read Kruger before, this is the place to start. It's 1932 on the banks of Minnesota's Gilead River. 12-year-old Odie O'Banion is an orphan confined to the Lincoln Indian Training School. When he's forced to flee after committing a terrible crime, he and his brother Albert, their best friend Mose, and a broken-hearted little girl named Emmy steal away in a canoe heading for the Mississippi and a place they might finally call their own. Over the course of one summer, these 4 children cross paths with struggling farmers, traveling faith healers, and displaced families. The full, heartbreaking, hopeful landscape of Depression-era America. This Tender Land has the feeling of a modern classic. It's big-hearted, beautifully written, and deeply human. Emmy, in particular, will stay with you long after you turn the last page. Before I tell you about the next book, you may have noticed something. The first 2 books on this list, and the 5th one I'll get to shortly, are all set in the same few years, 1932 and 1933, the heart of the Great Depression, a moment when America was holding its breath. There's something powerful about reading stories set in the same historical moment from completely different vantage points, and it's one of the things I love most about historical fiction. The third book on our list is The Guest Book by Sarah Blake, and this one is a different kind of immersion entirely. Where the first two books put you in the thick of the Depression, the guest book takes you to a family island retreat off the coast of Maine and spans 3 generations. It's an exquisitely written family saga that examines what we inherit from the people who came before us, their memories, their mistakes, and the silent agreements they made about what would and wouldn't be said aloud. Blake lays bare the great divides: wealth and poverty, race, religion, belonging, through the lens of one unforgettable family navigating a changing America. It's the kind of novel that makes you think about your own family's guest book. What stories are written there, and what stories never made it onto the page? It's a slower, richer read, perfect for a long summer afternoon when you have nowhere to be. Now, I'll admit, I may be a little biased about this next one. It's one of my own. The Bootlegger's Betrayal is set in Elko, Nevada in 1955, and it opens on Meg Bruno, a 76-year-old woman who has spent decades in quiet exile, keeping the past exactly where she put it. Meg was once known as the infamous bootlegging queen. She smuggled sacramental wine during Prohibition until the law caught up with her and stripped her of everything. The headlines wrote her story, but the truth? That's a secret she swore she'd take to her grave. Then, a tenacious young reporter named June Monroe shows up at her door, pencil in hand, career on the line, determined to unearth the facts behind one of the largest wine raids in Nevada history. The harder June presses, the more Meg resists, until a secret neither of them saw coming changes everything. The novel moves between 2 timelines, Meg's Prohibition-era past and her 1955 present. And that layering is part of what makes it so compelling. You're piecing together the truth right alongside June, one carefully guarded secret at a time. It's a story about the price of silence, about what it costs a woman to be written out of her own history, and what it means to finally tell the truth. The Nevada desert heat is practically a character in this book. Perfect summer reading, even if I do say so myself. And the 5th and final book on your summer reading list is The Calamity Club by Kathryn Stockett. Yes, the author of The Help. And this one is an absolute triumph. It's Oxford, Mississippi, 1933. 11-year-old Meg LaFleur is one of the unadoptable big girls at the Lafayette County Orphan Asylum, fighting every day to keep her spirit from being broken. Bertie Calhoun has come to Oxford to ask her socialite sister for help, only to discover that her sister's charmed life is built entirely on lies. And then there's Charlie, a woman running low on luck with little left to lose. When these 3 women's lives converge, Charlie has an audacious idea. What if they took control of their own story? In a place and time where women's freedom is fragile and hypocrisy runs deep, even the smallest act of defiance can have dangerous consequences. The Calamity Club will make you laugh, cry, and cheer, often within the same chapter. It's Stockett at her most confident and heartfelt, and it closes this list exactly the way I want it, with women who refuse to be underestimated and a reminder that calamity, real, honest calamity, can be the spark of something new. 5 books, 5 summers, 5 stories about women and the children and worlds around them, navigating impossible things with more grace than anyone had the right to ask of them. If you'd like more historical fiction recommendations, I share them regularly in my newsletter. The link is in the description below. And if you're looking for a copy of The Bootlegger's Betrayal or any of my other novels in print, ebook, or audiobook, you can find them at your favorite online bookstore and also in my shop, linked below. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy reading! In a place and time where women's freedom is fragile and hypocrisy runs deep, even the smallest act of defiance, holy crow, now it's going way too fast, I can't keep up.